is Zachary Lunghamer. I'm from Leduc County, Alberta, and I'm a second-year student here at St. Therese, and I will be presenting this Sunday's Gospel reflection on Matthew 25:31-46, which is the Judgment of Nations. After reading this Sunday's Gospel, one can tell that it's not quite like the previous Sunday Gospels we've recently had, as if we go back into the context of Matthew a short ways, we can see that there were three parables that precede this Gospel reading, and that was the parable of the talents, the parable of the bridesmaids, and the story of the faithful and unfaithful servants. But this reading is not simply a parable. This is Jesus talking to his disciples about what is to come. And he is talking to them just only 2 days before the Passover meal, and which follows his crucifixion. But what is he saying to them? Jesus is talking about the end times of judgment. In this gospel, there is some classic shepherd imagery being used here, with the example of sheep being separated from goats. And this is to represent the people. And it's something that the disciples would understand, as it was a common practice at the time, as sheep and goats were often mingle in the fields together during the day, and then they would be separated come nightfall, as the sheep would stay out in the fields. They were able to keep warm, but the goats would have to be taken someplace else in order to have warmth. And so the two are separated. And the sheep are the blessed. This represents the people. The sheep are the blessed, those who served Jesus and others, and the goats are the cursed, those who did not serve Jesus and others. And so that represents the two kinds of people, in which this whole notion of serving Jesus and others is something that as Christians we are quite familiar with. Is that personally, growing up, I remember the whole saying that I was told of treat others as if they were Jesus right in front of you. And in looking back, I can see that there is truth in that, because it is specifically through the words, "You did it unto me," that we see Jesus identifies with men. And that is all men, especially those poor and afflicted. The topic of Jesus associating with others, in this gospel, the word brethren is how we see that. And it kind of harkens back to the question which the lawyer had asked Jesus. So brethren makes us question, who is my brother? Or as the lawyer said it, who is my neighbor? And in that context of who is my neighbor, that's when Jesus gave the parable of the Good Samaritan. And then to answer that one, as usual, Jesus doesn't give a direct answer, as the focus of his answer was not necessarily on the who, but rather the what to do. At the end of the Good Samaritan parable, Jesus says, "Go and do likewise." And then here in this gospel, we can see the results of what we have or have not done likewise, as Jesus had told us to do. A story that I remember being told that sums it up quite nicely was one which I heard from a priest, which I once knew. And the quick version of it is that there was a man who was going along the streets. He was knocking door to door on just a cold, stormy night, and no one was letting him in. He was being turned away time and time again. But he kept knocking on doors, and eventually one of them answered, in which it was a mother and a child that had answered the door. And upon looking at the man, the mother immediately took him in, gave him towels to dry off, and gave him the last of the supper that they had to feed him. And the child, kind of perplexed, she didn't understand this and was asking her mother, "Why let this man in? Why give him my towel? Why give him all our food?" But the mother replied to the child, and she said, "It is because we have a chance to serve Jesus." And so, in looking at that story and looking at this gospel as a whole, the focus is to love and serve whoever we can and are called to serve. Such love for others glorifies God by reflecting our love for him. And so when reflecting on that, I invite everyone to ask themselves, do you truly see Christ in your brothers and sisters around you? Not just those immediate people whom you're related to, be it siblings or parents, cousins, or friends, but also those who you may not even know.